The chandelier sparkled above like a galaxy of stars, but she sat alone, still, silent, and unseen. 9-year-old Emily Shaw, daughter of one of the wealthiest CEOs in the country, watched the wedding festivities unfold before her from the edge of the grand ballroom. Her wheelchair was carefully tucked away near the back, as if her presence was a blemish on the perfect canvas of the event. Laughter filled the room, but none of it reached her. Guests danced, champagne flowed, and flashbulbs popped, yet no one noticed the little girl in the satin blue dress whose legs hadn't moved in 3 years. They were too busy celebrating her father's second marriage. A man who hadn't even come to check on her once. But someone else did. Emily blinked hard as she watched the newlyweds swirl on the dance floor. She missed her mother. She missed the days when love felt real, not like this cold spectacle drenched in gold and indifference. A server nearly tripped over her chair, murmured a distracted, "sorry," and moved on. Emily looked down at her gloved hands folded neatly in her lap. She had begged her dad not to leave her here, but he was too busy showing off his younger bride, whose sparkling white gown had cost more than Emily's yearly therapy. "I want to go home," she whispered to herself. That's when a soft voice broke through her sadness. "Hey, why is she alone?" Jacob Turner was a single dad and a late arrival to the wedding. He wasn't part of the elite circle. He was only invited because his sister was the bride's hairstylist and had begged the groom to allow Jacob and his 6-year-old son, Noah, to tag along for the food and music. He had barely stepped into the ballroom when he spotted her. A little girl, motionless in a wheelchair, pressed into the shadows like a forgotten coat. Her eyes didn't sparkle with the chandeliers, they shimmered with loneliness. Noah tugged on Jacob's sleeve. "Daddy, can I go dance?" Jacob smiled, then glanced back at the girl. "Wait 1 minute, buddy." He approached slowly, crouching to meet her eye level. "Hi there," he said gently. "I'm Jacob. That's my son Noah. You mind if we sit here with you?" Emily blinked in surprise. You want to sit with me?" "Of course. Everyone needs company at a party, don't you think?" For the first time that day, Emily smiled. As Jacob pulled up a chair and introduced Noah, Emily began to laugh for the first time in weeks. Noah showed her his silly dance moves and offered her a juice box from his tiny backpack. When a slow song started, Jacob asked, "May I have this dance?" Emily looked at her legs, then back at him. "I can't," she whispered. Jacob smiled. "Then may I dance right here beside you?" He took her hand, and with Noah clumsily twirling beside them, they danced, right in that quiet corner. Other guests glanced over. Some raised brows. But one person froze. Her father. Alexander Shaw had been too preoccupied with his perfect public image to notice what really mattered. But when he saw a stranger kneeling before his daughter, making her laugh like she hadn't since the accident, something inside him cracked. He excused himself from a conversation with his new wife's friends and walked toward them. Emily's laughter faltered when she saw him. But Jacob didn't flinch. He stood, gently placing a hand on Emily's wheelchair. "You've got an incredible daughter," he said simply. "You should spend some time with her before someone else does what you forgot to." The words stung, but they were true. Shaw looked at his daughter, really looked. The way her eyes sparkled now. The way she was holding Noah's hand. And for the first time in a long while, he remembered what love really looked like. That night, Alexander didn't return to the center of the ballroom. He sat beside his daughter, held her hand, and listened to every word she had to say. Jacob stayed nearby, quietly encouraging Noah to share jokes and stories with Emily. By the end of the evening, a new kind of music played in the hall, not the DJ's songs, but the sounds of reconnection, of regret, of healing. 3 months later, Emily's therapy was moved to a new center, one where Jacob volunteered, and Noah often brought coloring books for her. Emily's father never missed another session again. Epilogue, one act of kindness. It didn't take millions to change Emily's world. It took one person, one single dad with a big heart and a brave voice, to ask a question no one else had the decency to ask. Why is she alone? And because he did, Emily never was again. The power of being present, why noticing the unseen can change a life. In a world obsessed with appearances, where wealth dazzles and perfection is paraded, we often overlook what truly matters: presence, kindness, and the courage to truly see another human being. Emily sat in a crowded ballroom filled with laughter, light, and luxury, yet she was utterly invisible. Her wheelchair didn't just represent her physical paralysis, it became a symbol of how emotionally paralyzed the world around her had become. People were too busy to see her pain, too caught up in their own moments to offer her even a smile. And most painful of all, the man who should have seen her first, her father, was blind to her loneliness. But then came Jacob. He had no millions. No designer suit. No social status in that glittering room. Just a heart open enough to notice. And with that one question, why is she alone? He did more than draw near. He gave her back her dignity. He reminded the world that no one deserves to be forgotten. It doesn't take grand gestures to change a life. It takes noticing. It takes asking. It takes being willing to cross the invisible lines others are too afraid or too distracted to step over. Because while most people chase the spotlight, true light is found in the quiet corners where someone is hurting, waiting to be seen. Jacob didn't just offer Emily companionship, he gave her hope that she mattered. He reminded her father what love looks like. He showed that you don't need to be rich to be generous, just willing to care. People aren't broken by pain alone, they are broken by being ignored. Love is not loud, it's often quiet, and it shows up when no one else does. And the smallest act of compassion, done sincerely, can echo longer than the grandest celebration. You don't need to fix the world. You just need to notice someone who's been forgotten in it. Because sometimes, one person asking, "Why is she alone?" is all it takes to ensure she never is again.